Right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight to dream about bicycles and travel. My name is Kate and I'm a guide with Trek Travel, and I'm not on my own tonight. You're going to hear more from a co-guide, Eric, and maybe from Amber. And we've got two awesome bike shops hosting some in-store events this evening as well. We've got Matt, who's just down the road from me. I'm in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and he's over there at Trek Raleigh. And you'll actually hear from him because he's been on one of these trips we're talking about tonight. And then we've got Suzanne and her crew who are joining us from Trek Geneva up in New York. So thank you, everybody, and thank you to those who are joining us virtually. Super excited to have all of you with us. So let's get the show on the road. Tonight is part happy hour, part dreaming about where your bike can take you. So I want you to get a tasty beverage, kick your feet up and kick back and enjoy. So those of you joining us virtually, I'm sure you're very used to using Zoom at this point in time, but if you're not, if you move your mouse, you will get a taskbar, and on there you can turn on your microphone, you can turn on and off your camera. You also have a little box that says CC if you want closed captioning. And there's also a chat box, and you're going to want to know where that is, because that's where we're going to have you put your answers to trivia questions coming up, as well as put your questions. So we will get to questions at the end, but if you put that in the chat box, we'll be sure to address that when we get to the end. So those of you joining us virtually, at this point, I would invite you to turn off your camera and turn off your mic, and we will get on our route. So those of you that have traveled with Trek Travel know that we start every day with a route talk. So here's our route for this evening. I'm going to start with telling you about Trek Travel, who we are and what we do. And then we'll climb up that little hill, and I'm going to talk about what sets us apart and why you should travel with us, what sets us apart from all that competition. We heard a little hint that maybe some of you have traveled with some of our competition. So we want to tell you about what makes us different. And then we rise up that hill a little bit more, and we've got two great trip spotlights tonight. We're talking about Black Hills Gravel and both of our glacier trips, so stick around for that. Then we've got a quick descent. We'll talk about how to book, we'll talk about logistics, and then coming into the finish line, we're going to address all your questions with some great answers. So don't worry, there's no safety talk this evening. So let's get started. First, we want to tell you about Trek Travel and what we do. We believe that the world is best seen from the seat of a bicycle. And since you're with us tonight, we bet you believe the same thing. Trek Travel has been running cycling vacations all over the world for over 21 years, and we're always scouting out more locations to take you to see that world. Now, over these years, we've won a few awards along the way, including being voted one of Travel + Leisure's best tour operators. And this past year, we were voted number 5, which is our best finish yet. And of course, we have our sights set on number 1. Super excited with that, and we want to wow you every day and earn even more awards. So now I want to tell you how we make that magic happen, setting ourselves apart. At Trek Travel, we like to call it our secret sauce. And rather than tell you, I want to show you. So I invite you to enjoy this video that's narrated and presented by our president, Tanya Burke. It's called Why Trek Travel.
Travel is transformational. It allows you to have a different perspective, get to know a culture, your surroundings, and the landscape around you. But a cycling vacation really is different. You can see things up close and personal. You can smell the flowers. You work up an appetite riding your bike, and so it makes the dinners taste that much better. And for me, it is the absolute best way to see the world. We meticulously plan every single one of our trips, from hand-picked perfect accommodations to the region's best riding and local and cultural experiences that really immerse you in the place that you're traveling. And these are all the elements of an awesome trip. Our guides provide exceptional hospitality. They're really focused on making sure we have a seamless and effortless experience for our guests, and they provide wow moments that you would never expect. If you're avid and want to go do some epic climbing, you can do that. If you want more of a leisurely ride, we have trips for you as well. We also offer e-bikes, and they have been an absolute game changer. People can go further than they ever imagined. So we have different rider levels, different trip styles, price points, and destinations all throughout the world. We go to North America, Europe, South America, Asia, and pretty much anywhere you can dream up, we can take you on a vacation there. The most important thing, and I think everyone at Trek Travel shares this, is taking care of people. And that's why we do what we do. It's ingrained in our training, and it's ingrained in our commitment to providing exceptional hospitality. And our hope is that all of these elements come together and provide an experience of a lifetime.
Well, I hope that inspired you. Like it always inspires me every time I see that. Such a great video of places all around the world, Norway, Costa Brava, Glacier. Phenomenal. Well done, Tanya, of course. Now, you're with us tonight because you love to ride your bike. So do we. Well, this is one of the main points that sets us apart. We have awesome bikes, and our already amazing fleet got an upgrade this past year. So this, what you're looking at, is the new Trek Domani SL7. These beauties are fantastic. They're carbon frame. They've got electronic shifting. They've got disc brakes. Carbon wheels are standard on these bikes. They're a total dream. You're going to love riding them. So awesome, awesome bikes. And it's offered on most of our trips in 2023 and again in 2024. We're really excited to share those with you. Not only do we have new road bikes, but we have not one, but two super fun e-bikes. The one you see here, this is a Verve Plus 3. And this is the one that Tanya said was an absolute game changer. People love these bikes. You can see this Verve Plus. It's more of an electric assist hybrid bike, more upright construction, low step through, super comfortable. And then we also have an electric assist road bike, which is a Domani Plus, and you'll see that coming up soon. Gorgeous bike. And if you've not been on an e-bike, you have got to get to your nearest Trek dealer and try one out, because you can't ride an e-bike and not have a smile on your face. They're so much fun to ride. And it's really made a difference because people of different fitness levels can enjoy the same trip and really enjoy it, enjoy the surroundings, and not feel like they're not in good enough shape as they thought they needed to be. The bikes are just total game changers. And everyone still gets to see the same great countryside. Now, in addition, tonight we're talking about one of our gravel trips. So the bikes are a little different on that. So on the gravel trips, you'll be riding the Trek Checkpoint SLR7 that you see here. And the option for e-bikes on that is the Domani Plus. And you'll see that in our next slide. So the Checkpoints, super nimble, high performance bikes. They run 45 millimeter tubeless gravel tires, so super confident in any terrain. They've got the disc brakes as well, electronic shifting. Now, get ready. Not only am I going to show you this beautiful Domani Plus, but we have our first trivia question. So if you're in store, you and your hosts can You can shout out answers in the store, and I think they've got some awesome prizes for you. And those of you joining us virtually, you can put the correct letter of the answer in the chat box. So here's our question, but look at that beautiful bike first. So nice. All right, how fast does a Class 3 electric bike go in the US? Is it A, 28 miles an hour, B, 20, C, 25, or D, 30? So e-bikes definitely help get more people on bikes, and we are proud to offer the newest, most advanced way for people to ride further, faster, and longer than ever before. Hopefully you've had a chance to answer that question, because the answer is A, 28 miles an hour. And you can still pedal the bike to an even faster speed, but the motor will not be assisting you if you're super fast like that. So as I mentioned, that is that Domani Plus that'll be on select trips. And you can find those if you go to our trip finder and search for trips that have Domani Plus, like Matt mentioned in our pregame. Now, a question we get often is about rider levels on our trips. So we classify our rider levels in 4 different levels, where 1 is leisure, 2 is recreation, 3 is active, and 4 is avid. So we'll take a closer look at some of those, but we have lots of info on our website. Now, rider levels for gravel are slightly different than our other trips. You'll notice that the average mileage is a little lower, but that doesn't mean easier, because riding on gravel takes more effort for the same amount of miles on pavement. And we also included a description about road surfaces, because gravel riding includes a wide variety of surfaces, from roads and paths to dirt and chunky gravel. So let's give you an idea about this. So here is an example of what you'll find on our website about rider levels for gravel. And you can see in each box, we've got a trip that is that level. So you can see Bentonville is in our level or intermediate. And then we've got a bunch in the advanced intermediate and a couple that are really challenging in that gravel advanced riding. And you can see at the bottom, we go from a little smoother to really chunky stuff as far as riding surface. Now, talking about road, which we'll do for our glacier trips, here's an example. Level 1, you can see the average mileage, elevation, and saddle time. And our Zion long weekend is an example of a level 2, but if you choose to ride an e-bike, then a level 1 rider can easily do a level 2 trip. You can see for level 2 recreational riders, a little bit more mileage, a little more elevation, and some more saddle time. A great option for level 2 is Provence. Gorgeous, gorgeous scenery. Here's a picture of Byron Bay, which is a great new trip in 2024 for level 3 riders. And lastly, level 4 avid riders, a great example, classic climbs of the Slovenian and Italian Alps. Look at those hills. Definitely some significant mileage, definitely some significant climbing, and plenty of saddle time for those who really crave that. We also want you to have great bike handling skills for level 4 trips. So another thing that sets Trek travel apart is what's included, because we include more. Here's what's included on our trips: your hotel, and we always try to find some really cool boutique hotels to have you stay. Your guides are included in that trip cost. Every breakfast, most lunches, most dinners. We have great snacks and drinks all throughout every day. We're going to transfer luggage if we are moving hotels throughout your trip. We're going to provide those world-class bikes, and they come equipped with a Garmin GPS with 1 to 3 routes per day loaded on that GPS. If you prefer not to travel with your helmet, we've got you covered there. And then some of our trips offer some great Trek travel gear that you get to keep. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of what's not included in the trip price. We're going to ask you to get to and from the trip start and finish. And if you want some help getting to and from there, we can provide you with a travel service provider, and our trip consultants can give you info on connecting with them. Some meals we're going to invite you to get out and enjoy that local culture and cuisine. And we've actually vetted some restaurants, so we know they're great recommendations if you want to try those out. And then gratuities for your trek travel guides are not included in your trip price. Now get ready. We have our next trivia question coming up now. So if you're with us virtually, open your chat box and here it comes. Take that picture in. What is the location of this picture? Is it A, Solvang, B, Cali Wine, C, Vermont, or D, Asheville? So if you're having trouble picking the perfect trip, hop onto our website, check out that trip finder. Now, some recommendations, you can go by the dates that you're able to travel. You can put that in and see what's being offered on those dates that you're free. You can look and see part of the world that you want to travel to, what's offered. You can go by rider level. You can go by one hotel. If you want to move into a hotel for the week, unpack. We have trips for the folks that don't want to change hotels throughout the trip. So all kinds of different ways to search for your perfect trip. So now, trivia question, drum roll. The answer is C. This is our Vermont trip. So Vermont, this is the Gold Brook Bridge. It's one of the oldest, most storied, and certainly the most haunted covered bridge in all of Vermont. So the legend says that there was a young woman sometime between 1849 and 1949 named Emily who was jilted by a lover. So she jumped off that bridge and she haunts it to this day. Little spooky. So now we're on to our third and arguably the most important component of tonight's event, and these are our trip spotlights. 2024 is here, and we're so excited for all that it holds in store. The fun of exploring new destinations, the thrill of new adventures, and of course, the memory making that comes from seeing it all from the seat of a bicycle. So to tell you more about these two awesome trips tonight, I'm going to turn it over to Eric, who's joining us from Traverse City, Michigan. And Eric's in his second year as a trek travel guide. So Eric, take it away.
Thank you, Kate. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Eric. I'm super excited to share these trips with you this evening. We're going to be featuring our Black Hills gravel trip and Glacier National Park trip. So from enchanting Spearfish Canyon to the historic charm of Deadwood, you'll experience an epic adventure through the heart of the Black Hills in South Dakota. The unpaved surfaces are rated as intermediate. About 65% of today's rides and 72% of the avid rides are unpaved. So you can expect gravel roads that are primarily smooth dirt roads with sparse to moderate amounts of gravel. At times, there will be some short sections of rougher road that may have some chunky gravel potholes, ruts, or washboard-like surfaces. But if you love gravel, it's nothing that I'm sure you haven't seen before. Today's ride begins with a paved climb up Spearfish Canyon Scenic Byway. You're going to wind your way through the pines and aspens on this peaceful scenic road to the high point at Old Baldy. It's just shy of 6,100 feet. Then you're going to enjoy the flowy, jaw-dropping descent to Rough Lock Fall.
Eric, I can see your slide. I can't hear you. Matt and Raleigh, can you hear?
Yep, we can hear.
Okay,
Looks like
great.
a little technical difficulty there.
Okay, thanks.
Guess we'll give them another second or two.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about Black Hills National Forest, and we'll get Eric back soon. All right, so on this, let's see, you can see mileage. We've got options for a shorter route as well as an avid route. And we're stepping inside the legendary Moonshine Gulch Saloon while we're here. Then you gear up for this week's final ride at Sylvan Lake. You begin a short descent here and then look out for the crystal blue water surrounded by the rounded granite rock formations that reveals why it's known as the crown jewel of Custer State Park. And then welcome to Skogan Kitchen. It's a chef-driven concept offering innovative dinner options. Owners Eliza Rainey, who's the general manager, and Joseph Rainey, executive chef, have worked and learned from some of the best companies in the food industry, such as Disney and Patina Restaurant Group. On our final day, you'll head to Mount Rushmore, where you'll get a close-up view of that iconic mountain. 60-foot sculptures of 4 US presidents took 14 years to complete, using jackhammers and munitions to carve into the sheer granite. You can walk the short path to the sculptor studio to learn about that process. So now let's say farewell to this spectacular region in South Dakota and head towards our second trip spotlight of the evening. We're going to talk about gorgeous Glacier National Park, and we've got 2 trips we're going to mention this evening. So Glacier National Park is not only a protected wildlife site in Northwest Montana, it's also one of Mother Nature's most prized possessions, crammed end to end with snow-capped peaks, blue skies, moose, bears, mountain goats, evergreens, and inspiration. And even better, the store manager at Trek Bicycle Raleigh Holly Park, Matt McGrain, went on this trip last July. So we've asked Matt to hop on at the end of this spotlight so he can share his favorite things about this trip, having that firsthand knowledge. So the terrain on this trip is varied from flat to mountainous. The first 3 days of this trip cover mountainous terrain in and around Glacier National Park. So today's a day you're sure to remember long after your Glacier National Bike Tour comes to a close. We're riding Going to the Sun Road, which is one of the most scenic roads in America. This engineering marvel was completed in 1932. It's narrow and windy, snaking around mountainsides to give you magnificent views from every angle. We'll traverse Glacier National Parks, pedaling past waterfalls, glaciers, lakes, wildflowers, cedar forests, and hopefully some of the local wildlife abundant in this stunning refuge. And then the finale to this bucket list ride finds us at Logan Pass at 6,600 feet. This spot is the location of the Continental Divide. So be sure to pause here, grab a picture like Matt did, and then enjoy that epic descent down. And remember, if this climb feels like a bit too much for your legs this day, your guides can provide a little strategic shuttle option if they're needed. Awesome picture there, Matt. You'll venture back into Glacier National Park for an educational day hike led by a guide from Glacier Institute. Then we'll either tackle the Highline Trail or the hike to Hidden Lake. Both come with incredible views and our own private guide who will share information about the alpine environment, wildlife habitat, and the geology that surrounds you. Then during social hour, we'll be joined by our friends Darnell and Smokey, who will share the history and legends of the Blackfeet Nation, a tribe that still lives on their ancestral lands, which you're now visiting. So now we're going to pivot just a bit to our glacier trip that is a special edition. It's called Under Canvas. So the major difference in these 2 trips is where we sleep. On this trip, you get to experience glamping at its finest in a luxury safari-style tent. And what better place to do it than in Big Sky country? Your deluxe tent is built on a wooden platform and comes complete with a cozy king-size bed, luxurious linens, and a full bathroom. So linger around the campfire, stargaze off your private deck. Tents do not have electricity. Instead, they have a battery-powered lantern with USB ports for charging phones and wood stoves to keep your tent warm at night. So never fear, the extremely helpful staff at Under Canvas will teach you how to start a fire when you check in. And there are communal bathrooms on property with electricity if needed for hair dryer or the like of that. So to conserve water, there are no bathtubs, but pull chain showers offer hot water for bathing. So really cool trip under canvas. So same terrain, flat to mountainous, and some significant climbs on day 2. Look at that. Today's ride will take you to Lake McDonald, the largest lake in Glacier National Park. This glacial lake is surrounded by larger mountains in the park and filled with rainbow-colored rocks. Shout out to Matt in this photo. So just like on regular glacier trip, you'll pedal the famed Going to the Sun Road, of course. Plus, you can opt in for the guided hike along the Highline Trail or the Hidden Lake Trail. And there's just something special about sharing a meal underneath Montana's big, beautiful sky after riding one of the most awe-inspiring roads in the world. And we'll celebrate our ride to that top at the Going to the Sun Road with world-class barbecue, slowly prepared by a passionate husband and wife duo that call this special place in the world home. So now I want to turn it over to Matt, who you saw in a couple pictures. He's the manager of Trek Raleigh Holly Park store. And so last July, Matt and his wife went to Glacier National Park bike tour and had an awesome time. So Matt, will you tell us your favorite moments about this trip?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kate, for giving me the floor for just a second here. Just the backstory is I've been working at Trek about 6 years and regretfully never have done a Trek travel trip until last July. And it'll be the first of many, but we went to Glacier, as you guys saw in the pictures, and some of the highlights from the trip. The number one highlight for me was the Going to the Sun Road ride. It was about 39 miles, probably about 4,000 feet of climbing, I believe. And it was just epic, guys. We were cruising up the mountain, not even 10 miles an hour. We could see everything. And truth be told, we were following Kim on the e-bike. So we were all tucked in behind her, kind of getting that draft going and just getting a view of everything. We saw longhorn sheep. We saw a giant male moose with huge antlers. It was the most unbelievable thing. I'll never forget it. And just looking to the left, looking down the valley and seeing I guess the contour of the land, it's just the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It doesn't compare to the mountains here in North Carolina, not one bit. Got to the top, Continental Divide, 6,000 feet. It was amazing. You could see for miles. And then we got to cruise down the other side of the mountain up to like 40 miles an hour, just flying down the mountain. It was amazing. We were going as fast as the cars were, which you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I probably wouldn't recommend it, but we were getting a little loose and it was amazing. I'll never forget that ride down. But it was all in all like a 4-hour day. That was the best day. And then coupled with a few hikes. And then the last thing that I just want to kind of drive home is the hospitality, and a shout out to all the Trek travel guides. They work tirelessly. They charge your lights. They put the GPS routes in your Garmin. They even fill up your water bottles. You just arrive and ride. And the hospitality, you don't even have to worry about anything. You just bring 5 kits, your shoes, and they even provide the M&Ms and all the energy gels. So it was an experience of a lifetime. So I recommend Glacier big time. And then the bikes were amazing. So Kim was on the Damani Plus Carbon, which was just, that thing was awesome. And I rode the Damani SL7 with the electronic shifting, which was amazing. But I have nothing but amazing things to say about it. It was 6 days of bliss, 150 miles in a week, and 10,000 feet of climbing. And the hospitality was just top notch. It was a dream vacation and can't wait to do it again. So I highly recommend Glacier. I'm a little biased, but thanks for the embarrassing pictures too. But that was great. So yeah.
Anytime. Thanks for sharing them. That's awesome. Matt, thanks so much for sharing that. It really means a lot when, you can get that firsthand knowledge and pass that along. And I'm glad you had a blast out there.
Yeah, it was awesome.
On to the next trip.
Yes.
So hopefully now, after you've seen these trips and you've heard Matt's incredible experience, you are ready to book one of your own trips. So let's talk about how do you get booked on one of our trips. So one great thing is if you're looking on our website, you can go to that trip. So we pulled up Scotland here for you. And if you click on travel details, that's going to give you all the info you need to know about getting to and from your trip start and finish. So our trip consultants can give you more information, of course, and they want to help you get booked, but you can get a lot of the info here if you're booking yourself. You even have some suggested packing lists on a lot of these trips based on the time of year that you're going. So lots of info there on logistics, and that's on each trip site. So now we're not done quite yet, but you joined us tonight because you heard about this event either through your local bike store, from an email. And we want to let you know that we're doing these on most Wednesdays. So if there's a trip you want to hear about, let's say it's the Costa Brava trip, or it's the gravel trip in the Shenandoah Valley, you can hop on and check out when we're presenting on those. And here's the pro tip. Once you've registered for the event, now that you've heard all the info about who we are at Trek Travel and what sets us apart, you could hop on to the event 10 minutes late to get to the meat of that and hear about the trip spotlight, or know that you're going to get a recording of the event in the next couple days so that you can use that video to twist the arms of your friends that you want to go on the trip with you. So great info and lots of trips to hear details about, like you did tonight. So there are 4 action steps now. That first is to keep an eye out for that recap email that's going to be a recording of tonight's event. And in that email will be a coupon for up to $200 off your next Trek travel trip. So it's definitely worth registering for that event. Then visit our website. And you've heard me mention this a few times, all kinds of info there, trip finder tool, more photos about these incredible trips. Lots and lots of info. And then call us. Our trip consultants are excited to talk with you, answer your questions, and help you get booked. They are available by phone Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And they're in the central time zone. And they can provide all kinds of details, information, provide travel help, and lots more. And then get ready for your trip, because we all know that getting in shape, getting everything you need is half the fun of traveling, right? So you can hop down to your local Trek dealer. You can get measured on a Domani SL7 so we can have those measurements, have your bike pretty much dialed in when you get to us. You can also try out an e-bike, as I mentioned, and see how much fun they are. I know Suzanne and Matt would be happy to help you get set up with the gear that you need. Maybe it's some new shorts and some new kits, shoes, whatnot. And they probably have some group rides going out of their stores also that'll help you get ready for your trip. So lots of things to do, and especially getting out there on your bike. So at this point, we have gotten to almost the finish line. So at this point, I'm going to stop screen sharing, and I invite you, those of you joining us virtually, to turn on your camera and your mic, ask your questions out loud. And if we've got questions in the stores, I'll ask Suzanne or Matt to come on and ask those questions for your crew. So Eric, have you seen questions in the chat box that we can answer?
I saw one from Deborah. She asked if entrance fee to the national parks. Trek Travel pays for all those ahead of time, so no worries there. We'll take care of that, and you'll be all set.
Awesome. Good. And I was looking through a chat box. One question we often get is how many guests are on trips. And so our average guest count is about 12 people per trip, but we also have some trips where it's just been a couple folks. And then we have some that are a little larger. Our ride camps tend to be a few more folks in them. We've had some groups up to about 21, 22. Our gravel trips have been super popular. So we've had groups of around 20 on those gravel trips, and those were just launched last year. So people are loving getting off the roads and getting out there on the trails. What other questions?
Let's see. Joan asks, how much gravel experience do I need for the South Dakota trip? I've done 7 road trips with Trek. This is my first gravel trip in June. So as far as experience for the South Dakota trip, we have it at a level 2 3 trip. So, you know, if you've had, I mean, going down dirt roads, things like that, and, you know, our guides will make sure that you're safe. We give you route talks before every day on what to expect. You know, safety is our #1 priority. So we never encourage anyone to do anything that they're uncomfortable with, but I am confident that this trip would be suitable from the beginner rider to the avid rider. So highly encouraged. And like I said, safety is right up there. So we make sure that that's #1.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was just going to add that if you've been riding on some dirt and you've got experience braking and turning, that's really what we want you to have some experience with handling your
Absolutely.
bike, since it's different on gravel than on the road. So that would be where we'd want you to have some good experience, a few months at least under your belt of handling your bike on different surfaces. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Joan. You had a question?
Just a thank you. That's all.
All right, thank you for joining us. Matt, you got a question for us?
Yeah, we had a great question that comes up a lot in the store. What happens if you embark on a day where, you go a few miles in and you're not feeling it, your legs are sore, or you're just, you're not feeling it and you don't feel like riding anymore. What happens? Like, what are your options as far as support and options if you don't want to ride? So
Yeah, we've got some great options. One is you can ride with us in the van, because typically on the trips, you've got one guide on the bike, one guide in the van, and you can come with us and be our DJ. And so you still get to see the same sights and you're still involved with the group. So that's an option. If you're just not feeling it and we're still close to the hotel, we could probably get you back to the hotel if you wanted to spend some time there or do another activity. But it's your day, the whole trip, every day is your day. So you get to decide how you want to spend that. If you'd rather not go on the hike and you want to go on a hot air balloon ride, you can book that and we'll help you with those plans. So there are always options, and oftentimes there are cultural events that are nearby that we've already scouted out, so we could get you in touch with those if you want to go to a wine tasting and let your legs have a rest, something like that. So we'll definitely provide some options for you or have you ride along.
perfect. Yeah, there's always sightseeing to see, even in the van. Like, we had people jump in and like going to the Sun Road. I mean, the views were just endless. So you can just hang out, have a glass of wine, and just take it all in. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. That's good.
Absolutely. And another thing is, if we kind of get an idea of our group and the riders' levels and abilities, and knowing what routes are coming up, oftentimes we may say to somebody in the morning, we've got this one big climb, and I thought what might be a great option for you today is to, after lunch, hop in the van, we'll give you a boost up to the top of that climb, and I think you're going to have a great time in that descent and back into the hotel, just so people feel like they're still doing the ride, but they're not feeling like they're going beyond their level. So I think as guides, that's something we keep an eye out for and try to help people have their best day.
Totally makes sense. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, question from Chris here. Do you have trips for those who do not drink alcohol and wish to avoid it? I wouldn't say that we offer or we have trips that we go to restaurants and other places that serve alcohol, but we don't encourage people to drink, especially if they don't want to. So it's at one's own discretion, for sure. And the second part to that question, if you bring your own bike, will the staff support it just as they would with the rented bike? Yes, absolutely. If you choose to bring your own bike, we treat it just as one of our own bikes that we offer. So we'll make sure it's safe, locked up.
I think one thing to know bringing your own bike is we won't have the parts like we have for the Domanis that we support on our trips. So if you're bringing your own bike, you may want to bring some spare parts, since we won't have them for bikes that are not like ours. And it does not change your trip cost with bringing your own bike. So I would say ride our awesome bikes because they're super fun. Any other questions? Just going to skim through. What if a couple has someone who's more of an avid rider than the other? How do you deal with that? Less avid and other non-rider options. We always have non-rider options on most of our trips, depending on the trip you're doing. I know Norway is not a great non-rider trip because it's kind of remote, really beautiful, stunning scenery, but not much to do if you're not riding a bike. So depending on the trip, we'll have non-rider options. And let me see, what was the other part of that question? One person who's more of an avid rider than the other. Each day, there are generally options. So if someone wants to do the short ride and the other one wants to do the avid, that's an option. Or if that person who's not as avid a rider wants an e-bike, that's a way they could keep up with maybe their avid partner. So that may be something to do as well. So I hope that answers that question. If we bring shoes, are the clips universal? That depends on what pedals you're riding. We provide Shimano SPD mountain or road pedals. So if you ride Look or Speed Play, you're going to want to bring your own pedals, and we'll happily put those on your bike. And we also invite you to bring your own saddle. If you love your saddle and you're used to riding on it, then bring that and we'll put that on as well. But of course, we will provide a saddle for you as well if you just want to try ours out. All right. Other questions? I'm just going to open that chat box again. So that's shoes, age range of the usual trip participants. You know, it really varies. I've been on a trip where we had a family with 20-somethings, and the 20-somethings were riding the e-bikes, and their mom, who brought them, was riding a Domani. We've had couples celebrating 25-year anniversaries, and we've had, you know, it really ranges depending on the trip and the area, but it ranges, I would say, from 20s to 80s. And another interesting thing is that 30% of our guests are solo travelers. So a lot of folks will come out on trips, and I always say it's so incredible to see how they're absorbed into the group. They just take them under their wing with groups and couples that are there traveling together, and no one ends up being a solo at the end. And oftentimes people will book trips in the future together from the people they met on our trips. So it's really cool to see that happen.
It looks like Suzanne has a raised hand.
Yes, thank you. Quick question here. What if somebody has food allergies? How do you guys handle that?
Yeah, great question. So before your trip, our trip consultants will reach out and we will ask any type of dietary restrictions that you have before your trip. And then we will make sure that, you know, we get snacks and beverages and food that accommodate that individual throughout our trip and time together on the trip. So we make sure that you have the fuel you need on your trip and you have exactly what you need. So great question.
Yeah, our restaurants have done a great job with handling different food sensitivities and allergies. And always awesome options.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Other questions from our stores, from anyone else online? And if not, then I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening and spending your evening dreaming about where your bike can take you next. We're super excited and hope to see you out on one of our trips in 2024. So come see us. Thanks everybody at Trek Raleigh and Trek Geneva for joining us this evening. Matt, thank you again for letting us put you on the spot and share your pictures. And thanks for sharing that great time you had in Glacier. Can't wait to see which trip you're on next.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.